OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, it's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC Podcast and welcome to the WWE Payback Premium Live Event review. You know how I am with my reviews, I don't really spend too much time talking about it and showing it, so let's just get straight into this Premium Live Event. Now I know that it's kind of known that there are some B-level shows that take place in WWE, Payback being one of them, but to be honest, this match card, at first I was kind of feeling a bit iffy about it, but to be honest, it exceeded my expectations. So firstly, we started off with the steel cage match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. Now, I was kind of hoping this was going to be the main event, mainly just because of the fact that they didn't get a chance to be represented at SummerSlam, and I feel like that's kind of where the original feud kind of culminated and hit its natural conclusion. But this match was incredible. It exceeded my expectations. It was fantastic. Straight away from the get-go, Becky and Trish are just going at it. Trish is trying to escape out of the cage. She's trying to take the easy way out. She's trying to jump over the cage. She's trying to get out through the door. But Becky's like, nah, and just keeps hitting her with some really good moves. Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus did not hesitate to use the cage as a weapon because honestly, the amount of times that Trish was being thrown into that cage during the match, she created this like welt on her face. It looked so incredibly painful. They put up a phenomenal job, these ladies. Honestly, I think this is probably one of my favorite steel cage matches of all time. Hell in a Cell included for the women. Honestly, there was a superplex that Becky hit from the top of the cage. It looked incredible and it looked so painful. There were so many moves that were referenced in this match that are from previous matches with Trish. So the Widow's Peak was hit, which was one of Victoria's moves, and Becky hit the Twist of Fate, which was really awesome to see. Now, we did see Zoe Stark getting involved in this match. She could not help herself, so she decided to try, and I think Trish was trying to leave the cage, and then Becky was in the ring and Zoe was outside, and they were both kind of pulling her back and forth. Zoe ends up getting into the cage and starts to obviously attack Becky. Becky neutralizes the situation, sorts out Zoe, and then sorts out Trish and comes away with the win. I think this was the right call. Becky Lynch really needed to win this feud so she can move on to bigger and better things. But at the very end, we saw Zoe trying to console Trish, being like, it's okay that you lost. But Trish ended up slapping Zoe Stark and turned on Zoe Stark. And I'm just like, I knew the alliance wouldn't last long, especially after what happened on Monday Night Raw. I can't wait to see where this goes next. I'd love to see a feud between Zoe and Trish. I honestly think Zoe getting a little bit of that rub from Trish Stratus would really help her to become a main event level women's star, especially if she wants to have someone to challenge up against Rhea Ripley. I think Zoe Stark, Rhea Ripley is a very good feud that we could have. After this match, John Cena made his appearance and was talking about how he's never hosted an event before and was talking about how he's quite nervous for it and was talking about how he was excited for it as well too. And he went ahead and said that he has made himself the special guest referee in the match between The Miz and LA Knight. The Miz comes out and they start having a little conversation back and forth, and The Miz is going ahead and saying, I have so much hosting experience, you don't. And John Cena's like, well, give me some advice then. And The Miz is like, well, you've got to insert yourself in things and you've got to be excited and you've got to be enjoying it. And then John Cena says, well, I've basically done that by inserting myself as the special guest referee in this match. They have a little riff-raff back and forth. Then John Cena ends up welcoming LA Knight out. So LA Knight gets a thunderous pop from the WWE Universe. I swear, every single time we see LA Knight, he is just getting louder pops after pops after pops. The man is so incredibly over. This match starts now. John Cena is special guest referee during this match. I really enjoyed it. There's some really good sequences here. I think people also underestimate how good The Miz actually is, not only in promos, but he can carry a match. This match with LA Knight and The Miz was just, I loved it so much. The way that John Cena was getting involved in the match. Now, obviously, people can only hit a move for like a 5 count. Say, for example, you're jabbing somebody in the corner of the ring. The ref has to pull it apart. He did it multiple times between The Miz and LA Knight. And there was a moment during the match where LA Knight stared off against John Cena, which I was like, is this going to be a potential feud for the future? Because if it is, I am so incredibly here for it. Those promos between those two would be insane, but I do feel like Cena would obviously win in the promo section. Cena cooks anybody on the mic. Then there was a couple good moments in this match. LA Knight did end up coming away with the win, which I think was the right call to make. If they were going to have a storyline where The Miz won and then LA Knight won the next match, then they'd have to have a third match as like the rubber match. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed it. As they were leaving the ring, John Cena's kind of standing there. LA Knight's kind of standing there. John Cena tries to show some form of respect to LA Knight. LA Knight was like, I was going to get involved with you in the ring, but obviously John Cena's trying to shake his hand. They end up having a stare down and shaking hands. I feel like we're going to see this feud at some point, and I'm so incredibly here for it. Next up was the United States Championship match. Now this was Rey Mysterio defending his title against Austin Theory. I kind of expected how this match was going to go. The LWO was going to come out with Rey Mysterio for his entrance. It was a really good match nonetheless. Rey did put on a really good performance and Austin Theory did very much keep up with a lot of Rey was doing. But to be honest, I didn't really have much investment in this story, so I kind of was just almost waiting for this match to be done. It was a good match nonetheless. Rey puts on a clinic every single time he's in the ring. He did this really nice moonsault backwards and ended up landing on his feet. There was some really good moves coming out from Austin Theory as well. He was countering a lot of Rey's moves, which was really cool to see. Rey Mysterio did come away with the win on this one. I was somewhat expecting Santos Escobar to somewhat get involved in this match, whether it was trying to neutralize Austin Theory or if it was him trying to one-up on Rey Mysterio and then pushing their feud forward. That didn't end up happening, but that's totally fine. There's plenty of time for that. Obviously, Rey Mysterio did retain his championship. I'm just a little confused now as to where Austin Theory goes from here. I mean, we did see him tag with Grayson Waller last night on SmackDown. I'd love to see them join into a tag team. I'd love to see him join The Way again. I just don't know how we get there, and I kind of feel like his character is a little bit stale at the moment. There's not really anything going on with him that makes me interested in Austin Theory. Speaking of being interested in something, I am going to talk about the Undisputed Tag Team Champion match for the tag team titles between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Now this was a street fight and this match did not disappoint. There were times where the match felt like it was kind of dragging on for too long, but then they kept doing extra things to make it interesting. There was a lot of back and forth straight away from both Priest and Balor inside of the ring with KO and Sami Zayn. I was really enjoying the way that they were using a lot of the weapons straight away. Set up a few tables, we're throwing chairs inside the ring. There was a moment where Finn Balor ended up having like a trash can put on him and KO and Sami Zayn were hitting him with a kendo stick. It was so good. The match ended up making its way outside of the ring into the arena a few times. Dominic Mysterio was getting involved both times the match ended up making its way outside of the ring. Then there was a moment where Kevin Owens was trying to neutralize Dominic Mysterio, put him on like a table, and then went up on the barricade and just hit like a swanton on Dom, which that looked incredibly painful. And it looked like Kevin Owens had kind of overshot that a little bit because the way he landed on the concrete, I was like so incredibly like terrified for him. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope he's okay. But obviously Kevin Owens being Kevin Owens just, you know, keeps fighting as he says. There's a moment where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn get thrown over these like storage bins kind of thing that they have in the arena, and they're down for a few minutes and the Judgment Day is celebrating, you know, oh, we're going to win this, let's start strategizing, and then KO and Sami Zayn just pop up with these like Pittsburgh Penguins ice hockey jerseys on with like the gloves and the hockey sticks, which I think is so incredibly fitting. They were in Pittsburgh for Payback, but also they are Canadian and Canadians love their ice hockey, so I was like, I love this so freaking much. The match was just like, it just kept my attention, but there were times where I was kind of like, oh, I feel like this would be a really perfect way to end it, but then they just kept it going, which was totally fine. JD McDonough did end up getting involved in the match as well too, and then Sami Zayn ended up slamming him into the table, which I was like, that was so good. But guys, we have brand new undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. So Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn did not get the job done. Judgment Day came together and they absolutely nailed it. There was a moment as well in the match where Rhea Ripley ends up spearing Kevin Owens into the barricade outside of the ring by the timekeepers area. This match was just full-blown carnage and I loved it. I'm annoyed that KO and Sami Zayn didn't get more of an opportunity to use their tag team title run with different teams in the division, but I think for storyline purposes, this works best for the Judgment Day to have all of the gold. So if there's any inner turmoil that it starts to happen while they're all champions, I'm incredibly happy that Finn Balor is finally a champion again. It's been so long. It feels like we're waiting for rain in a drought for how long we've been waiting for him to be a champion again. I'm so incredibly excited to see where this goes. I was kind of hoping that Damian was going to be a little bit more fiery towards Finn during this match, but they seem to work cohesively. Then we saw Kathy Kelly was backstage and she was quickly catching up with Becky after her steel cage match against Trish. They're kind of talking about how it went and obviously the fact that the feud is now over, when Tiffany Stratton comes into the mix and goes ahead and says like, hey, like I just wanted to come and talk to you. Like I just wanted to come and formally apologize for assuming that you were NXT champion. I was kind of just saying that I wanted to be better than Charlotte, Bayley and Asuka said you, and didn't realize that you weren't actually an NXT champion. Now, during this interaction, I could see that Becky was staring at that NXT Women's Championship. So that's the championship that has eluded her entire career. Becky goes ahead and says, you know, maybe I don't understand why you crawled outside of your Mattel box. You should be focusing on your match that you've got next Tuesday, but I'll see you soon. And I'm like, I'm so excited for this potential match with Trish and, not Trish, oh my god, we just had that with Tiffany and Becky. I'm slowly becoming like a huge fan of Tiffany Stratton. Like she has impressed me so incredibly much within the last year. She has just improved in all aspects of wrestling, promo-wise, in-ring wise, her style, just the way she carries herself. And putting her up against someone like Becky Lynch, who's like my absolute queen, I might have to actually start watching NXT on a more regular basis to be able to keep up with this, because I feel like this is a really good way to use Becky Lynch, especially with the NXT Women's Division. Then we had the Grayson Waller effect segment. Now Grayson Waller's kind of talking a little bit before he ends up introducing Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes comes out to the ring and they start talking back and forth about how Cody's had a lot of highs and a lot of lows this year, and how Cody basically begged Grayson Waller to be on the show to get the Grayson Waller rub. Cody did go ahead and say, yeah, I did beg to be on your show. You know, I did ask for this platform because I obviously want to announce something and make an announcement. And he starts talking about how, you know, do you watch Monday Night Raw? Do you watch NXT? Do you watch SmackDown? And starts talking about those different shows, when he goes ahead and says that he's bringing somebody back to Monday Night Raw. And I was like, who's it gonna be? He ends up bringing back main event Jey Uso. And kind of was like, okay. He was only gone for 2 weeks though. So he said that he was basically out of WWE, out of the bloodline, out of SmackDown, but comes to Monday Night Raw 2 weeks later. Honestly, this bloodline storyline has got me so incredibly just like all over the place. I don't know what's going on. I'm so just like confused with everything. I would have loved it if they had have kept Jey Uso off TV until like next year's Royal Rumble, and then he could start feuding with Jimmy for WrestleMania. I don't understand what's going on. I really don't. But now Jimmy and Jay have both got different themes, so I don't know how long it's going to be until I hear Downward Day 1-ish. I'm still going to jam it on Spotify, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like that segment could have been used to set up a feud with Cody, set up a feud with Grayson. I don't know. I think that was the only outlier in the premium live event for me personally. Kind of just left me feeling a little bit like, Then we had the Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley match for the WWE Women's World Championship. Now, this was made to feel like a big fight feel from the very beginning. Rhea and Raquel are both countering each other's moves very nicely. They're both trying to hit shoulder tackles on each other, but because they're both staunch and very strong, they're not knocking each other down. And I think slowly during this match, they're both realizing that they are either as strong as each other, if not stronger. So a lot of the moves that they would normally pull out in their arsenal are not going to work during this match. Raquel's getting a lot of offense in during this match and knocking down Rhea quite a bit. But then Rhea ends up turning it around, kicking into another gear when she sees that she's like bleeding out of her nose, and just absolutely starts destroying Raquel. There's a few moments where she starts going after Raquel's injured knee. Now, that was the knee that she ended up getting medically cleared for, but obviously Rhea is still trying to beat down on the knee, as it is still a weakness of Raquel. To be honest, I enjoyed the steel cage match a little bit more than this one. I kind of feel like they are going to pull a few more matches out for the Raquel and the Rhea feud. I'm interested to see where it goes. Rhea Ripley did end up retaining her women's championship, and I do think that was the right call for this because Rhea's technically only had one title defense from when she became champion at WrestleMania. So she had won the SmackDown Women's Championship, defended it against Zelina Vega at Backlash. It then got changed to the Women's World Championship, and this is her first technical defense of the title. I just feel like the women's division needs a little bit more time put into it, so Rhea's actually got some really credible threats to challenge for that title. But I was really impressed because the match got more time today than what I thought it was going to get, which meant it actually got to show that Raquel is actually a very strong force in the women's division, just not strong enough to beat Rhea Ripley. Then we had the main event, which was the World Heavyweight Championship match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth freaking Rollins. Now, this started off with a video segment, obviously having like a hype video package talking about their feud. Now, watching this before the match actually got me more excited for the match because I can see how much time they've put into it. Initially, when I saw this, I kind of thought that they had kind of thrown this feud together, but to see the evolution of Shinsuke in the last couple of months and how menacing he has become and how he's going to target anybody and their weaknesses, specifically Seth freaking Rollins in his back, is just like, I'm really enjoying what they're doing. They made a reference to it on commentary as well too, that Shinsuke is kind of reverting back to his New Japan days, which I loved. The Great Muta was actually in the crowd for this match as well too, which I really enjoyed seeing. We didn't get to see a whole lot of camera shots of him actually watching the match, but he was shown at the very beginning as Hall of Famer Great Muta. Obviously, Shinsuke absolutely respects the hell out of him, so it was nice to see that he was there. This match starts off very good. They're obviously tit for tatting, trying to get each other down, but Shinsuke's playing very hard to get. Shinsuke ends up taking control of the match from the very start and ends up beating down on Seth quite badly, obviously attacking his back from the very beginning, but Seth finds a way to turn it around and start going after Shinsuke, pulling a lot of high-flying moves out of his arsenal like Hurricane Ranas, frog splashes, tries to hit the pedigree a few times, but Shinsuke's finding ways to capitalize and counter those moves. I really enjoyed this match. I'm loving that Shinsuke's finally getting that main event status that he deserves. I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot how great Shinsuke Nakamura actually is, and I'm so incredibly happy that this match got to show how great he is and how much more he's got to show. His gear was like red with like black stripes. I think they made a reference to it being very like homage to The Fiend. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the vibe that I got off the gear straight away. Shinsuke Nakamura was obviously attacking Seth Rollins' back quite a bit during this match, which obviously was very hard to see considering I know the extent of Seth's injury, as I've had the same kind of injury happen before. It was referenced on commentary that, you know, Seth is living in pain all the time, and I can very much relate to that because as somebody who's had stress fractures, your back flares up all the time and it's kind of just really hard to live with. So watching Seth get hit in the back and slamming on the mat a few times was not really what I was, wanting to see in terms of relatability, but I got to see it anyway because Shinsuke was attacking the back. It was a really good match. Now, Seth Rollins did end up coming away with the win. I was somewhat expecting Shinsuke Nakamura to beat down on Seth Rollins that much to the point where Seth ended up just staying in the ring. Shinsuke got disqualified and then Damian Priest came in and cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, that didn't happen, which is totally fine. Seth Rollins still retained his championship, which is good. I'm just concerned about how they've built up Shinsuke Nakamura, and I'm just concerned about if he's going to get left behind or if he's going to get forgotten about in terms of they've given him a lot of his character back. Where does he go from here? But I guess we just have to wait and see. But that is WWE Payback for this year. Normally it's a B-level show, but to be honest, this match card it actually delivered more than I was expecting it to. I really enjoyed the premium live event. Now, I wasn't able to watch it at the time, but I came back home from work and watched it after, which was really good. I don't regret it at all. It was really great. It has me really excited for Fastlane, which is our next premium live event. I'm interested to see what feuds we get from there. Now, I'm just going to say prediction-wise, I feel like we are going to see Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton at NXT No Mercy. I don't know, it's just the thought I have. To be honest, I feel like that would be a really good match for her in NXT as well. But yeah, if you guys stuck around till the end of the video, thank you so much for listening to my thoughts on WWE Payback. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel because that helps to push our videos out to great wrestling fans like you guys. Please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel and check out our personal social medias down below so you can keep up to date with what we're doing when we're not posting on the channel. This week we'll have our regular videos coming out, and I believe Ross is going to be posting an AEW recap video. So if you guys want to know when we've uploaded new videos, make sure you go ahead and follow the Outcasted Twitter and Instagram. Those are both linked down below. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys to it. I hope you have a really good rest of your day, night, whenever you're seeing this, and I'll see you in the Raw recap. Bye guys.